Whew. All right. Good evening. We are continuing on from, what day was it? September 10th, 56 days to election, debate day. And for those following along with the book, we stopped towards the bottom half of the middle of page 157. As always, for this series, you do not have to have the book. Doug could see how angry and disappointed I was. Almost forgot some basic housekeeping. If you missed the previous parts, they're all available on my YouTube. Click the link in the bio. Once we're done here, then I will download and upload the next part. And if you remember, we are continuing on from Joseph Robinette, bitch-ass Biden calling and fucking with Kamala's head right before the debate. So here we go. Doug could see how angry and disappointed I was. Let it go, he said. Is she Elsa? Is she Elsa? Doug, I'm gonna need a little bit more nuck if you buck in your bloodstream. Okay? Let that New Jersey come out. Okay? Not that y'all not smacking people enough for me. Y'all not cussing people out enough for me. Okay? I need y'all to watch some Young T videos. Go watch a little Tia Kemp. Okay? Learn how to cuss real good and start cussing folks out. He knew I had to redirect my focus. Don't worry about him. You're dealing with Trump. Let it go. You're dealing with a lot of testosterone, ego, and narcissism. That's what you're dealing with. 67 million people witnessed what happened next and did. Donald Trump and I had never met. So when he walked right to his podium, I strode past mine, over to him, extended my hand, and introduced myself. It wasn't a tactic, and I'm not a lady. As methodical and intentional as you have been this entire time, you gonna tell me that wasn't... Okay, that wasn't a tactic, and I have a very healthy diet. Because Mountain Dew, Reese cups, and French fries is definitely the diet of champions. I always shake hands when I meet someone for the first time. Girl, I hope you was up on all of your vaccinations. And after this, I hope you got a couple shots of some antibiotics. Because, yeah, Jay, yes, I do survive on a lot of Mountain Dew, a lot of caffeine. I told my prep team I would do it. Told it. It wasn't a tactic. I just told them beforehand that I was going to do it. To quote Bougie Brown Skin, Sister Cat. Sister Cat, who did you think he was fooling with that? It wasn't a tactic. Okay. It wasn't a tactic, and Khaleesi's milkshake wasn't bringing boys to the yard. Because it was the natural and polite thing to do. Why are you trying to be polite to the impolite? Okay. Trump's eyes widened. He hadn't expected this. He took my outstretched hand almost deferentially. Yeah, because he wasn't prepared to get himself in his hand-staking stance. Y'all know what I'm talking about. You've seen it. You probably just didn't realize what you were watching. He gets into a particular stance in order to extend his hand to do the whole, power move, trying to pull people over, but he's not slick with it. He doesn't really know how to do the power move handshake. He's trying to grab, where that's not what it's about, but he does put himself in a particular stance to do it. So that's why he was shook at Kamala. She's gonna sit there and say it wasn't a tactic. Okay. Kamala Harris, I said, let's have a good debate. Once again, y'all ain't cussing people out enough for me, especially Trump. I need somebody to cuss him out one good time. Once again, go watch a few of Young T's videos. She'll teach you how to cuss real good, real good, and then just go, just walk up in there, cuss them out 10 times. I don't, whatever makes your heart sing. In rehearsals, someone suggested saying it's pronounced Kamala, but at the last minute, I decided not to. It felt bitchy. It was bitchy, and it was needed. Why are you being polite to the impolite? Kamala, you ain't never had a bully before. You ain't never had a bully. You ain't never had nobody try to bully you. Like, for real. You ain't. Like, come on. Yes, he does jerk the arm of everybody's hand he shakes. And I don't know if anybody else was taught how to properly handshake and the multiple handshakes that you can use by family members. I was. And I was taught the power move handshake. That's what I call it. And it's not supposed to be forced and jerked. And I was taught, and maybe it's because I'm a woman, that it's more about the eyes and your command, your confidence in how you can do it and how it's going to be successful. Not like just dragging somebody across, and that's what he does. But it seems like television raised him. I shouldn't say seemed like. That is who raised him. She didn't go to the center. He walked on stage and went directly to his podium. She came up, walked over to his podium, extended her hand, shook his hand, and introduced herself. No, he wasn't ready for that at all. Because he needed to be in his stance. And I'm telling you, the next time you see him shaking somebody's hand or preparing, watch his body and watch him, like, plant himself to be like an immovable tree. Hey, Pup. Don't heavy breathe on me. Oh, excuse me. For those that can't see, I guess he's joining us tonight. Okay. All right. So that's why I'm leaning to this side. Pup's over here. It was the last time he looked at me in the entire 90 minutes. Yes, he was intimidated. Trump has woman issues. He has mommy issues. We always like to talk about daddy issues, but we got to talk about the mommy issues too. The small set was bathed in blue lights with a graphic of the Constitution behind the two podiums, and he still don't know what the Constitution is. It was lit so from the podium I couldn't see anything except the impassive faces of the moderators and a massive screen featuring a countdown clock, which I glanced at every now and then to make sure I had time to land my points. Yeah, they didn't want y'all looking at each other. And a lot of people think that it was done so that Kamala wouldn't be intimidated. Now, we know she don't have a prostate. But I'm going to say that her balls are bigger than Trump's, allegedly, according to court testimony from Stormy Daniels. Allegedly. Is it allegedly if it's in the court? We're just going to keep saying allegedly. Donald Trump had won the toss and opted to give the first opening statement. He launched right into his lies about immigrants being rapists and murderers, stealing black jobs. Isn't it ironic? Don't you think that an adjudicated rapist is always accusing other people of rape? I figured viewers would understand how demeaning and ludicrous that was, since I was right there on the stage enjoying my black job as vice president. He bragged about his economic plan, his tariffs, which gave me a golden opportunity to punch right back. For those that are new here, yes, we are all reading this for the first time together. I don't read ahead. I don't do any of that. We read. So please excuse me when I snicker at some of the things that I find funny the way she wrote it. Enjoying her black job. It would have been better if she would have said that she was enjoying her black ass job up in this. But Kamala. Okay, you don't give a whole lot of intellectual credit to the men in your life, which I understand as a woman. I'm not saying it's right. but I understand. But the general public within the United States, you really thought the general public was going to pick up on that? We're going through a literacy, comprehension, and critical thinking crisis. This is a country that has been leaving children behind since school systems began. You thought they was going to pick up what you was putting down? These are the same people that thought that they could rescind their votes. I was coursing with adrenaline. I'd studied this stuff for my entire career. I knew what those tariffs would do to the American people. Trump's tariffs, I said, were nothing but a national sales tax that would send prices soaring and would plunge us into a recession by the following summer. I quoted 16 Nobel laureate economists to back me up. That was your problem. That was your problem. You got to talk to United States people like you talking to your little nieces. Cute as buttons they are, okay? But that's how you got to talk. Probably not, because they seem very smart. You really got to dumb it down, okay? You should have just said, hey, you know that pack of Oreos that you like to get to snack on, because most people like a good Oreo, okay? And you're like, you know how they're like, I'm just going to pull out a number. $5 right now with those tariffs, they could be $10. That's what people, or use coffee. Because, most people like a little coffee. And then tell people like, hey, you crown drinkers that comes from Canada. If we keep messing with you, you're not going to get the crown. Like, that's how you have to talk to them. You can't, you're quoting Nobel, no. Okay? You have to realize this is a nation that for generations has made fun of intellectuals. You got to know your audience, Sister Cat. You got to know your audience. Okay? And don't get me wrong. I've been guilty of that myself. Sometimes my verbiage, like a lot of them, they're just now just now getting a few things that you said from your most recent interview. Like capitulate took them out. Okay, they thought you was talking about Trump and other people doing other things. A couple people thought that you was talking about people doing nasty things to themselves. You'll have to switch to Jameson. There's a black-owned distillery down here that everybody's saying has a really good product that's the closest thing domestically to Crown. I don't know. I'll have to check. Because there's I got an email about it. You go on this tour, and every spot on the tour, you get like a tasting of their different, I don't really know much about whiskey and bourbon. I guess they have different flavors and stuff like that. I don't think it's a good idea to have people just walking around willy-nilly getting plastered, but do I want to go for the plot? Yes. Not to drink. I want to watch. He responded with the absurd claim that I was a Marxist and disparaged my father. I decided not to go on his turf and hoped my smile and raised eyebrow indicated how ridiculous it was. Girl, once again, read the room. These people, you think that you talking to just, you think that the United States is just black folks. Because black folks can pick up what you're putting down, okay? There's some women who can pick up what you're putting down. There's even some LGBTQI men and male-presenting people who can pick up what you're putting down. There's some people in this country that still think that when we call them special, it's a compliment. He has a skill for going for the very personal and pulling people into a false reality, forcing them to debate nonsense. Running after his crazy lies was a trap I was determined to avoid. You didn't have to. You didn't have to. You could have followed up very simply. And this could have shut down him in that debate and could have helped your case. All you had to do was ask him to define Marxist. If people would start doing that more with Trump, there would be a greater hope of us getting out of this. That's all you have to do. If he's going to call you names, ask him to define the name. When the question turned to abortion, Trump branded our policy as extreme and then repeated his lie about Democratic states allowing newborns to be put to death. There hadn't been any real-time fact-checking in Joe Biden's debate, but this time, to their credit, the moderators cut in to say that there was no state in which such a practice was allowed. They should have asked him. They should have asked him where the states are. You came all the way in here to boost my algorithm to lie. Democrats are leaving the party. And record numbers. And if you want to be a proud Republican, fine. If you want to make being a Republican your entire personality trait, fine. You have free will. You're an adult, okay? Presumably. But maybe focus on getting your political party to be one unified front for once in history instead of a collection of factions that tend to eat one another. And for those a little uncertain and want more information on what I'm talking about, there's a whole series that I just started over on Substack, link is in the bio, regarding all of the factions that have existed and currently exist in the GOP. No matter what question the moderators asked, Trump tried to turn it back to his scaremongering of an immigrant invasion. I pointed out that he'd killed the bipartisan bill that would have strengthened the border because he would rather run on a problem than fix a problem. And I said that his rantings had become so rambling and tedious that people leave his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom. Nice little dig. But y'all did all this preparation and you didn't have the right people in your corner. And this is why I'm going to continue to say this, Kamala. That should not have been your answer. You could have very politely, very ladylike, if you will, said if immigration is the problem, why did he marry one and then help her family immigrate to the United States? And then if there was pushback, moderators, this is where you step in and point out all of the lawsuits from immigrants that were employed by him and never properly paid. The key is force Trump to explain himself. Force Trump to tell the truth. That's how you play him at his game, and you don't look as aggressive or as feeble-brained as he does. His obsession with his crowd sizes because it's a euphemism for his undercarriage size. Because after it came out that allegedly he's very nubile under his fupa, he started caring about crowd sizes. And it's also a stand-in for ratings. He had no explanation as to why he had killed the bill, so he embarked on his eating the pets rant. I could not believe he was saying it. The cameras caught my look of incredulity. How are you shocked by him? He's had the same playbook since the 70s. Emotionally and mature-wise, he has not moved on up. He's stuck. That elevator is broken. I did have some clue that it might have been on his mind. Kirsten and Brian had noticed that when Trump deplaned in Philly, Laura Loomer, the conspiracy theorist who had been identified as a proponent of this garbage, was traveling with him. Apparently, as the last thing he heard, it had stuck in his head. It served to make my point about how unhinged he had become. Yeah, that was, and that was the same time that Laura Loomer let it slip to some friends that couldn't wait to tell on her, because who's really a true friend of hers, that allegedly Trump had bragged to her that she had provided him, allegedly, with the best fellatio of his life. Allegedly. Things we get told unprompted, unwarranted, against our will. We are definitely in a hostage situation. Who is coming to rescue us? Who can we get a ceasefire deal? Because this, we are not annoying the kidnappers enough for them to let us go. Once again, the moderator stepped in to say that this claim that Haitians had stolen and killed pets for food had been debunked by none other than the Springfield, Ohio city manager and the person who started the rumor. Let us not forget that, because Tazzy Farms remembers. The person who started the rumor also took to news outlets and debunked the rumor and apologized. But once again, y'all not cussing people out enough for me. Cuss them out. Talk about extreme, I interjected. It's his familiar tactic. Say the crazy. Everyone will dive on it. That will be the headline, the distraction. They will follow the heat of it. They will follow the heat instead of, for instance, his policy on tariffs. Yeah, I would have asked him, given that your vice president candidate is from Ohio and lied in his book, and obviously was the first one to tell you about this, why, as a presidential candidate, are you willing to regurgitate unsubstantiated information? Do you think that's for the betterment of the country? Like, why are y'all letting the dumbest person on the planet have gotcha moments on you? Couldn't be me. Couldn't be me. When Trump tried to claim that crime was rising under our administration when it was actually falling, I answered that it was rich for someone who had been prosecuted and convicted of numerous felonies to be positioning himself as a champion of law and order. I heard him audibly gasp when I mentioned his convictions. Right, because this is how you get him. Nobody wants to hit him with facts about himself. Stop hitting him with facts about everything else. Ask him to prove what he's saying, but hit him with the reality of him. We say it all the time, on and offline. You tell a lie about me, I'll tell the truth about you. He shot back that I had been in favor of defunding the police. Another lie. Even though my mic was off, I said that's not true. Y'all want to know how to combat the whole defund the police argument? I've said this before, but I know a lot of people have not heard it. Here's the thing. The police have been defunded before in the United States. You want to know why they were defunded? Once upon a time, if you were having a medical emergency, do you know who showed up? Not paramedics, because we didn't have them. The police. Then over in Penny, Pennsylvania, some black folks got together and was like, hey, this isn't a good idea. Let's train ourselves and get some training and go and help some folks. And just like the United States, being the racist haven that it is, they was like, oh, we can't let the Negroes just have credit for this and do it. And they took money out of the police budget that was already overfunded. And we now have paramedics, EMTs. And reducing the budget of police won't take anything away from them. So, yeah, it's not the spooky thing that you think it is. No. Defunding the police has been a benefit to society. The police should not be called for everything. It's not a bad thing to say that. It's not a bad thing to act on that. He heard me and snapped, "I'm talking now." "Don't lie," I countered. "The camera was on me then, and you didn't need to be a lip reader to understand what I'd said." And that's the thing. You also have to remember, when dealing with Trump, he likes to be the belle of the ball. Remember, he booted... Why do I always have a problem remembering her name? Anywho, Miss Couldn't Win Governor started suing all over it, went down to Mar-a-Lago, and she was getting more attention than him, and he was like, "You got to go. You got to leave." He does not like that. That's why when Elon Musk was around, I kept encouraging people, just talk about Elon Musk. Even if Trump did it or Trump said it, say Elon Musk did it. I promise you now, if every time Trump does something, you attribute it to Charlie Kirk or J.D. Vance, he'll lose his shit. Hell, even better, attribute it to Byron Donalds, the black man. We were not allowed to interact with anyone during the commercial breaks. Trump walked off the stage in one direction, I went the other. I took a moment in the wings and then went back to the podium, alone in my head, watching the seconds flash on the massive clock until I could re-engage. Oh no, they should have let y'all interact. They should have let y'all have some conversations. Yeah. Carrie Lake. Yes, thank you, Jay. That's her name, Carrie Lake. Let them interact during the break. Yeah. And at that point in time, Kamala, you should have gave me your number, girl. I could have given you some great one-liners before that to tell him. Like me personally, I would have asked him, like, why you got the same hairstyle your mama got in that casket? Before you go, "Yeah, that was low. How would you feel if somebody made jokes about your dead mother?" I make jokes about my dead mama. I don't think anybody could get darker than me with that. There was little he said that night that I hadn't gamed out. But there were spontaneous moments. But there were spontaneous moments where my adrenaline-flooded synopses fired off retorts I came up with on the spot. Well, I would hope so. You were trying to be president. If you couldn't think fast on your feet, I would have some questions. Some very, very serious questions. When Trump tried to justify his bogus claim that the 2020 election had been stolen, I pointed out that this was a man who had been fired by 81 million Americans. Clearly, he is having a very difficult time processing that. I need y'all to stop pointing that out. Stop pointing that out to Trump and his supporters. What you need to do, and what should have been done here, the question that needs to be asked, if the election was rigged, how come so many other Republicans won their race? And if they go, well, they had to make it look good. So if the Republicans are willing, if the Democrats are willing to put Republicans in certain places, why were a lot of key places given to Republicans if the Democrats did it for power? That's the response. When did you come in here, use a social security number? Do you even know what I'm referring to? Given that I said that is the response that you should have for people, are you slow? Another moment came as he attacked us on a vulnerability, the withdrawal from Afghanistan. Just a caveat that a lot of people keep forgetting, the only reason the Biden-Harris administration had to handle that withdrawal is because Trump set it in motion as he was walking out the proverbial door. No different than what former Governor Bevin did in the Commonwealth of Kentucky when he lost to current Governor Andy Beshear. where he set off a shitstorm and walked away. It is important that people understand the origins of that tragedy. It began with a disastrous deal he'd struck with the Taliban, committing us to an impossibly rapid exit date. It infuriated me that he had invited the Taliban, murderous terrorists, torturers, heinous oppressors of women, to Camp David, where true statesmen had worked to create real peace. I gestured towards him to reinforce the contrast. And this, I could feel the retort forming itself on my lips. I confess that sometimes I have a salty mouth. It ain't been salty enough for me yet, but let's keep going. I keep it in check on most occasions. But the adrenaline was taking over, and a long pause. I just managed to stifle the name, so I badly wanted to call him. And this, former president, as president, invited them to Camp David. Here's the thing. When Trump brings up Afghanistan, remind him that he's the reason why Afghanistan happened. And then, yes, ask him why the Taliban was invited to Camp David. Even though I hadn't actually said it, plenty of people filled in the blank, because we're not that stupid. Later, the comedian Wanda Sykes would remark that I'd called the former president a motherfucker to his face without using the word. Yeah, because we all said it out loud when you took that pause, Sister Cat. We did. Miss Mamas, we did, okay? And I was like, finally, but it would have been nice if she'd have said it out loud, but I understand, because everybody is not ready for a cussing politician like that. Now, we done had a few sprinkled through on more local levels. But look. When the debate ended, I genuinely had no idea how I'd done. I could tell you, you didn't do that great in my eyes. There were some times where, yeah, you had some zingers in there, but you were trying to straddle the fence and be too poly-perfect. And you were acting as if you were addressing the UN instead of giving answers for the average United States resident / citizen. I mean, you didn't do all that bad to some people. I felt like the survivor in the aftermath of a bomb blast, barely able to hear what was being said to me for the whooshing in my ears. I could see Doug's face swimming in front of me as he came up on the stage. He was talking, but I couldn't take in what he said. I registered the fact that he was smiling. Well then, I thought, I must have done okay. That did all of that too. There are some parts of this book you should have kept in your inside head, because there are times like this that you say stuff that's going to have people, rightfully so, going, was she really ready to be president? Like Trump took that much out of you? He huffed and puffed, his beluga bellied behind, on top of Stormy Daniels, and he didn't wipe. He didn't. She didn't have that reaction. She wasn't even that winded or verklempt. What the hell? What the hell? September 11th, 55 days to the election. I'd had about 2 hours sleep when the alarm on my phone went off in my New York hotel room. The night before, Doug and I had gone from the debate stage to the holding room where the entire team was assembled. I grabbed Felipe and kissed him with gratitude. Over the heads in the group, I saw Lorraine crying. The tough taskmaster of my staff and daily agenda, she never cries. You really do care about more than just my schedule, I teased. Brian, usually dead serious, was grinning ear to ear. I checked off all the numbers on my bingo card, he said. You made every point. This is your dream. You know what? Let's just continue. Later, Opal started playing Taylor Swift songs on her phone. Swift had just posted her thoughtful endorsement. I believe we can accomplish so much more in this country if we are led by calm and not chaos, she wrote, signing off her post, Childless Cat Lady. I'm still pissed that y'all thought that was a fucking endorsement. That was my Swifties have said so much and put so many things in my mouth at this point. Let me pretend that I'm on their side so they can continue to buy the one thing I'm about to remanufacture in 20 different colors all this month. Y'all get on my nerves. The Harris Walls campaign watch party at the Cherry Street Pier was thronged with celebrating supporters. I knew very well that this election would not be decided by a single event, a single debate victory. When I took the mic, I told everyone that it had been a good night, but tomorrow was back to work. Girl, that was a part. You know what? Then I left for New York. By the time I collapsed on the bed in my hotel room, it was close to 2 a.m. I was up just a couple of hours later to prepare for a somber day of 3 memorials: New York, Shanksville, the Pentagon. Should we still have cities called Shanksville? Should we though? At 7:50 a.m., I was back in the motorcade, rolling to Ground Zero for the ceremony honoring the victims of 9/11. I'd been there as vice president every year except during COVID. Hundreds of people and blacks stood in silence, the memorial's waterfalls the only audible sound in the heart of the busy city. I stood next to the president. Michael Bloomberg was on his left, Donald Trump on the other side of the mayor. Trump and I shook hands. He said, "You were great last night." I didn't know what to say in return except, "You too." Come on. I thought she was quick with it, with a slick mouth. You should have hit him with the, "I know." Or just a simple "thank you." Not a "you too." And he was prepared for the handshake, because if you all remember from footage, he tried to pull her in and it didn't work. It was warm, clear. It was a warm, clear, beautiful morning, just as it had been in 2001. The NYPD Honor Guard began a solemn drumbeat. At 8:46 a.m., the moment the first plane hit the North Tower, the drumbeat ceased. We all fell silent in memory of the dead. You know, y'all could just say "in memory," because we're not really going to be in memory of the living, are we? Just a thought. 23 years earlier, I was a young city attorney in San Francisco, getting an early start on the treadmill at my gym before heading to the office. There were 3 giant TVs in the gym, and as they played the moment when the first plane hit the tower, I turned off the treadmill and stepped down to follow the coverage. I remember the music in the gym stopped. Everyone stood side by side, watching in disbelief. The reading of the names is a melancholy and moving tradition. The president and I departed as quietly and reverently as we could. About an hour into the litany of loss, we needed to leave for Shanksville, Pennsylvania, to commemorate the heroes of Flight 93. Quick question. These are annual events. You know that you want the heads of state there. Why do you schedule them so close to damn together? Like, no matter who is president, the optics of it all doesn't look good. The United States will make the simplest shit difficult as hell. The route from Johnstown, Cambria County Airport to the Shanksville Memorial Site runs through cornfields, wooded hills, and forest of Trump signs. Trump 2024, vote Republican, America must end abortion. Okay, if America's going to end abortion, hand out proper birth control, have proper sexual education, and encourage more oral sex. Because some of y'all need to stop asking for steaks on these dinner dates. Boneless children nuggets for you. I said what I said. It was a small crowd at Shanksville. About 200 had gathered, many of them family or friends of those who perished on the flight. The president and I laid a wreath at the memorial and then walked out to the crash site. I was taken aback that on that day and in this place, I would see a man in the crowd wearing a bright red shirt emblazoned with messages insulting me in the most vulgar terms. Commie Kamala sucks and abort Harris were the principal parts, interspersed with lewd sexual references. But currently they want people fired because they are not snot crying over Charlie Fountain Neck Kirk. You are willing to disrespect your own kindred, your own statesman, for a moment to own the libs. Is you cool, bitch? Fountainhead in real life, you're right, Quad. This was such a solemn memorial service. It made me immensely sad for the heroes of Flight 93 and for the people who loved and honored them. They didn't need to be subjected to his indecent bile. Surely, I thought, this cannot be who we are. Where you been, girl? Hey, chicken. They're not okay. This is who we are as a nation. This absolutely is. This is a nation that gives more airtime and credence to mass murderers, serial killers, bank robbers, and the such. We have more documentaries about the worst of us than we do about the best of us. We don't encourage children to educate themselves. We encourage children to emulate whoever can make money off of their 15 minutes of fame, and we encourage them to gather that fame by any means necessary. Vampires can't be seen on camera. Y'all are too much. Oh my goodness. So at this point, I really need people to stop pretending to be shocked. This is who we are. Yes. Yes. The country was founded by the breeding, sexual assault, sale, and murder of folks based upon their race. Faux science and faux religion were created so people could mutilate and murder and assault. People used to clamor to take photos with the James Gang, Bonnie and Clyde. Law enforcement used to prop up the dead bodies of the most wanted and take pictures as souvenirs. People made postcards out of lynched and often charred bodies. This is a nation of people that made cookbooks for cannibalism. This is a nation of people that after lynchings would skin bodies and take the bones as keepsakes. And you're shocked that this is where we are? This is a country that led itself to drowning women over jealousy aka the Salem witch trials. Oh, yeah. Like, it's time to stop going, this is who we are. If you haven't reconciled with your past and made ways to increase the morality of society, what makes you think that we're going to get any better? Every 2 to 3 business years on the internet, people want to fangirl over and make merch over a horrendous serial killer and ask the public if they think that serial killer would have dated them. They tell us unprovoked that they wouldn't have mind being killed by them. Every year after the memorial service, Joe made it a point to stop at the Shanksville Volunteer Fire Department, where a cross made from the salvage remains of the crashed plane stands outside the firehouse. That department was the first responder to the crash. Inside, the volunteer firefighters and their families milled about or sat at tables. Many wore MAGA hats and Trump t-shirts. Some refused to shake my hand. Others offered me their backs. This is ironic for so many reasons, but let's just talk about this one. It has been confirmed the amount of times Trump has lied regarding his involvement in 9/11. Trump was confirmed to be more of a hindrance than a help. And MAGA is always talking about democratic processes and things being fair. But they really get pissy if anybody's running against Trump. All right. We'll finish out this day. I had a lot of mixed feelings about being there. It was a solemn occasion, and I didn't want to intrude at such a moment upon people who saw me through the lens of Fox and right-wing media. I knew I would never get their vote, but I didn't want to write off the opportunity to connect with a fellow American if there was any way I could reach across the divide and share the human moment. You could have looked to the right, looked to the left, and pointed out that Trump wasn't there. I, with my petty self, would have pulled out my phone and be like, oh, Trump looks so nice standing there in a whole different city. There are many good reasons that the Secret Service would have objected I had stopped the motorcade to speak with them, but I often wanted to. I wished I could ask every one of them, what are you angry about? What about me makes you angry? Sister, you know what makes you, you know what? Is it your health care, your grocery bills, a back-breaking job that doesn't pay what you're worth? And what can I do to help you? An impossible wish, since I didn't even control the lock on my car door. And there were always people waiting for me, sometimes for hours at the next destination. The only thing you could have done for them is not be a woman and not be black. That's why they were mad. Let's stop cosplaying J-Lo. You can't be this Delulu. One woman at the firehouse was willing to make eye contact and exchange a greeting, even though it was clear that her husband wanted nothing to do with me. I kept the conversation going, and I learned that the couple had suffered the loss of their child. There is no blue or red, no Democrat or Republican in the experience of grief and bereavement. They spoke tenderly of their child, and I shared my own experience of loss, watching my mother undone by the ravages of cancer. That brief interaction is the kind of moment that sustains my belief that we share more than we realize. We just have to be willing to look for it and see it. I'm going to need you to learn how to read the room better. I hope this woman is not the victim of domestic abuse, but if you see that a man clearly does not want a woman to speak to someone, especially when that someone is another woman, don't do it. Don't do it. Unless you are prepared to take that woman with you right then and there, don't do it. And then I glanced across the far side of the room, where Joe was sharing a joke with some guys in MAGA hats. One of them took off his hat and offered it to Joe. Don't take it. He took it. Don't put it on. He put it on. Joe doesn't have any more races to run. Joe witnessed the same thing that you did. Joe did not smooth things over for you. Joe don't like you. You were the last Infinity Stone he needed to get elected. Oh yeah, I've been there too. Chicken, you got to act like, is it okay if I talk? Like, don't try to force a moment when y'all out in public. Like, I mean it. Cameras clicked. Within hours, the picture was all over. Joe Biden in a MAGA hat with a caption, Biden endorses Trump over Harris. Biden knew what he was doing. This man had a career that could have retired itself in politics. Right before you hit the debate stage, he called you to tell you that a bunch of people didn't like you and didn't want to meet with you. Then told you that there was no reason for him to back out and that he could crush the debate. And now this, he didn't smooth anything over. He didn't pull you over into those conversations. He didn't say, you know what, y'all like me. She ain't so bad either. Come on over here, Kamala. Let me introduce you to Billy Bob, Johnny Boy, and Curtis over here. He didn't do that. Wake up. Listen, Linda, listen. He don't like a you. I took the microphone that was offered to me and said, we may vote for different people, but the people who attacked us on 9/11 couldn't care less who we voted for. We were all Americans that day, as we are today, and I hope we can remember that. Were we though? Were we though? Because I remember a good chunk of the United States united in xenophobia. And a lot of people got very rich off of that because instantly they were selling merch and people were buying it. Because instead of fixing the problem or properly mourning, we need souvenirs. But I guess that is where we are going to stop for today. Tomorrow we will pick up on page 165, going into September 12th. 54 days to the election. Once again, if you missed any of this tonight, you can click the link in my bio and check out this part and all the others on my YouTube channel. As of now, might want to skedaddle over to Chaos King Reloaded's page for his weekly panel regarding racism. It's a really cool place to be. And don't forget, at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, join me, click the link in my bio, for the Villain's View on GCPR Radio. It's a rockin' good time. Okay, come. And join my brothers from other mothers. Or just come and watch me sell the records, you know. And after we wrap at 11 o'clock, Conversations with T. Nathan will come through. So if you like some good mental stimulation in the late night hours, we got you. But as always, each one teach one. Each one reach one. Till next time.